Okay, I'm way behind on this. So it is what it is. Holidays, all that. I got good excuses, plus not feeling so great. But wanted to, take care of what's the latter of my comic book reading of 2024. So getting into the titles I'm more interested in, which would be these independent titles than the main ones. Whoops, Space Ghost. Yeah, I've been checking out Space Ghost. I think I'll do an overall review of this. I'm way behind on it. And but it's it's pretty good. It's just silly Space Ghost. I really do like the Jay Lee covers. I try to get those. But anyway, that'll have to be its own show. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So right now, the best is Ghost Machine. That's Jeff Johns' titles. Uh, now, the absolute creme de la creme is Conan the Barbarian from Titan Comics. That one's your best bet. And if I'm going to say, well, what was the best comic of 2024? It was Conan the Barbarian, hands down. But right on its heels is the excellence of what Mark Miller does with his titles and Jeff Johns. And he's invited other writers here. So this will be Peter Tomasi doing the Rockefellers and all that sort of thing. But nevertheless, Ghost Machine is another big contender here. However, these might be a couple of the weakest titles, just in my opinion. They're both very interesting and cool. So it's not like, oh well, one and done, I'm out. It's not that case. This is actually issue 2 of Hyde Street. And the thing about Hyde Street, uh, it's part anthology horror comic, like in the old days, like the EC and Tales from the Crypt and stuff like that. And but also an ongoing story where there's continuing characters and whatnot. So basically, you take the sort of narrator character that you would have with the EC horror stories, or this one takes a lot of lens from Twilight Zone. It has a little opening here that's very Twilight Zone-ish. So anyway, it's as if, Rod Serling and the Crypt Keeper existed in this world. And instead of just narrating the stories of the characters you're going to meet, they're part of it. There's a narrative about them and how they ended up on this mysterious Hyde Street. So the art is absolutely magnificent. It's very well done. And so there's these different horror stories of nasty people who've got it coming. And I guess Hyde Street is a street in hell. I mean, there's mysterious entities here, most notably this scorekeeper guy who seems to be in charge. And people like this evil Boy Scout kid are one of the people who guide people, these souls, into Hyde Street. I suppose there's supposed to be some path to redemption for some of them, but some of them it's really no chance at all. But anyway, yeah, I didn't get the Christmas special, so this is issue 2 is as far as I got. But I'll keep an eye on it. It's fascinating. The art is absolutely beautiful. Um, but I guess it's an interesting thing because there's been a lot of anthologies. The heyday, of course, was the EC era, but since then there's been quite a few. And sometimes there's stories that really stick out, and sometimes it's a bit of a bust. But here it's this weird combination of ongoing narrative, whatnot, but also the element of anthology story of these people who wander into Hyde Street. Bum. Rockefellers is basically their sort of superhero family, all a Fantastic Four thing in a science fiction, which Fantastic Four in a lot of ways is more science fiction than superheroes. They just live in a world of superheroes and that sort of thing. So they don't have any powers or anything. They're from the future, and there's some terrible something they've run afoul of, so they have to escape into the past. and that's that. So the opening story, you get this where the whole family is trying to get away, and here's the villain trying to pursue them and stop them, but they make it, and they've got these you know they got technology in suits, but anyway, they're in, well, 2024, so I guess by the time I get to the next issue, they'll be in 2025. But nevertheless, this is where they're hiding out, and but in the meantime, they use their technology to go and have fun in, their suits here and whatnot. And so it's cute, it's interesting. There's some darkness to it and all of that. It didn't completely win me over as much as like Geiger did or Redcoat, but it's got great potential to it, and easily better than most mainstream titles. So, but a little weak, just in my reaction to it. And the same with Hyde Street, as compared to the other titles that were really impressive. But there's still great potential in both. So it's not like I'm, done with this, as of yet. So, you get that. Meanwhile, Nemesis continues on, and it's just fun. I mean, he's a horrible, evil Batman character. Now he's got his Robin, and he's showing him the ropes. And they had these spectacular takedowns they do of this giant plane, and he's using his sidekick for it, and nearly gets him killed. But don't worry. And then there's another big theft they're going to pull off, and there's some strange things afoot here, and other people after him. And oh boy, how's it going to work out? And it's kind of there's always hilarious shenanigans and how it goes, and just it's I don't know how else to put it. It's funny as hell, but it in a just sort of the stupid circumstances that can happen. Some of the schemes people pull, and it just delivers, and it's only in this one issue. The story is far from over, but you got to see it to enjoy it. So I highly recommend. Well, all of Miller's titles so far. There's a couple I haven't gotten to yet, but I'm really on board with that. Magic Order. Gee, what's with the dog face? Well, these clever ways that he introduces the powers and abilities of these magic people. Yeah, it's always surprising. So this is this demonic force who lives on. His real body's been destroyed, but he lives on in this dog, and he takes possession of people, so they end up looking. And at the same time, it's all horrific and creepy, and what happens to the victims, it's terrible, But the whole thing, they're all after Cordelia. Um, so even after they let go when she was stuck in that fantasy world, and that ended a lot quicker than it usually would, but he's done with it, and now it goes off into these other things that everybody's after her, and everything. And again, art is excellent, and it's just a great ride, and I've enjoyed all of the Magic Order titles. It's its own cool take on the whole thing, and it continues to deliver on it, and imaginative and creative ways, and just unexpected means by which these different magic assassins approach taking out Cordelia, as she is the leader of the Magic Order now. So it's a fun, good read, and beats out again mainstream titles at this point. So finally, Nightclub Part 2. Uh, Everything is going wrong. It's really awful what's happened. The bad guys are just kicking ass all over the place. They're discovering more of their powers and abilities, and they're just going wild with it. And their leader decides he wants to move in on the mob, and well, they can. It gets really grisly and disgusting. Uh, and then the last survivor of the nightclub Well, it's all up to her. And how is she going to overcome these dastardly villains? And well, that's the question. But it is a supernatural tale, and so there are multiple possibilities that she will have to find. And I can think of quite a few vampire movies that might clue her in on what to do. But nevertheless, this one does involve a zoo and some animals. But anyway, another it's never boring. It never there's no filler. It doesn't slow down. And even if it seems like it, Miller finds a way to even make that entertaining. So you just can't lose. Your best bet, again, is Mark Miller, Ghost Machine, and Conan the Barbarian. That's the best of the best, going strong as of now. I will get to the Space Ghost titles, which is a pretty fun run here, and Flash Gordon that Jeremy Adams is doing. Jeremy Adams is one of the few bright spots over at DC Comics. His take on Green Lantern has been pretty good. It would be cool if he got a hold of Superman, you know. But anyway, in the meantime, he's got some other gigs, and Flash Gordon is one of them, and that one's looking pretty good too. So kind of the same thing. His run on Flash Gordon, I'll collect a bunch of those and do a review overall, and as I'm going to do with Space Ghost. So there you go. Some titles I've checked out, and recommend that you do the same because they're fun, and in the end, that's what comic books are for. Fun. Well, you know, why is it off kilter like that? Hey, who's a good dog? Who's a good dog? Me. No, you're not. You possessed her and made her look like that. See, she's not. Oh man, she goes through all that trouble, and now she's got to look in the mirror and see that. You know, my God. Oh, jeez. Well, worse things do happen in it. But anyway, you'll have to check it out to find out. So there you go. Happy New Year, and we'll see if I can read something else for next week's Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics.